Welcome to this Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the absolute chaos that is the current AI landscape. Seriously, we are standing at this fascinating crossroads right now. On one side, it's literally the Wild West, just a totally untamed frontier of rapid tech development. And on the other side, we're seeing this huge emerging global effort trying to step in and act as a much-needed sheriff.
So let's kick things off with the million-dollar question, maybe the billion-dollar question. As AI tech just completely explodes all around us, who is actually reaping the rewards? Are we talking about the massive tech corporations, everyday workers like you and me, or the global population as a whole? Well, as you might guess, the answer is incredibly complex, and honestly, it's shifting by the day.
To figure that out, we're going to explore the AI ecosystem from four specific angles: big tech's data problem, the UN stepping in, hacking the algorithm, and finally, AI's creative limits.
All right, let's get right into Section 1, Big Tech's data problem and how they're scraping the internet.
$271 million. Let that sink in for a second. That is the massive fine France's competition watchdog just hit Google with. And why? Because Google failed to broker fair deals with media outlets when they used those outlets' news articles to train their AI. This is a huge flashpoint right now. These large language models need a staggering, just mind-boggling amount of data to function. But going out and pulling that data from news articles without negotiating in good faith, well, that is suddenly carrying a very heavy financial penalty.
And that massive fine really just illustrates a much wider battle happening across the tech landscape. Take the New York Times, for example. They're currently suing OpenAI, the Microsoft-backed creator of ChatGPT, over claims that they illegally used their copyrighted material. So the creators of these super powerful chatbots essentially scraped a huge chunk of the internet, and now the original creators of that data are taking them to court and fighting back.
What's really fascinating here is the sheer contrast in how different groups are approaching this. On one hand, OpenAI argues that it's basically impossible to train leading AI models without using copyrighted materials. They say they absolutely need the entire swell of the internet. But wait, a group of researchers backed by the French government just proved there is an alternative. They released what's thought to be the largest AI training dataset made entirely of public domain text. This totally proves you can build specific, paid models, say for the legal field or scientific research, without endlessly slurping up copyrighted content. It's a classic debate of quantity versus quality, and clean data might just be the actual future here.
Moving on to Section 2, the UN steps in and the push for global regulation.
So the UN General Assembly just voted on its very first AI resolution. And honestly, it represents a monumental shift in how we're looking at this tech. Instead of AI just being this engine driving corporate profit for a select few tech giants, the UN wants to align it with their 2030 global goals for equitable worldwide development. We're talking about using AI to detect diseases, predict floods, help farmers optimize their crops, and train the next generation of workers. They are really trying to step in as that global sheriff we talked about, taking this incredibly powerful tool and aiming it directly at humanity's most pressing problems, making sure AI development is actually safe and equitable for everyone.
The absolute primary aim of this resolution is to bridge the stark inequities between the developed Western world and countries in the global South. Because right now, the major upside of AI is heavily concentrated in places like the US, where these big tech companies are based. This landmark UN effort is a concerted push to guarantee the global South isn't left behind. It's all about making sure artificial intelligence is secure and trustworthy, and that the profound benefits are distributed equally across the globe, not just hoarded by a few Western tech hubs. Basically, everyone needs a seat at the table.
All right, let's zoom back in for Section 3, hacking the algorithm, where workers fight back.
Just imagine having absolutely no idea how your paycheck is calculated by some faceless machine. Well, that's exactly what Uber Eats driver Armin Sami faced when he realized he was being consistently underpaid. The algorithms running these gig apps are just incredibly opaque, meaning workers have zero clue how their pay is actually figured out. Armin got totally fed up with it. So what did he do? He used his own ingenuity and literally hacked it. He built a custom tool to track his true travel distance, proved without a doubt he was being underpaid, and then, here's the best part, he released that tool for free to other gig drivers worldwide. It's just such a brilliant example of everyday people fighting back against these untamed algorithms. But while everyday workers are battling these opaque algorithms, the tech itself is still evolving in chaotic, hyper-realistic ways. For instance, video game developer Ubisoft is currently testing these experimental, unscripted AI avatars. And we're not just talking about generic chatbots here. These avatars have contextual awareness. They respond to human speech with real-time emotion and even collaborative decision-making. Watching it in action is frankly deeply impressive, but it also offers a slightly haunting glimpse into the future of digital interaction. It really highlights just how blindingly fast this tech is evolving, right alongside all those regulatory battles we just talked about.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, AI's creative limits. Can AI truly create?
Despite all the high-stakes global politics and the corporate billions being thrown around, legendary author Salman Rushdie recently pointed out a massive limitation. He noted that while AI might be able to pump out generic thrillers, it completely lacks the originality and humor needed to challenge serious novelists. So, at least for now, AI still poses no real threat to truly creative, original writers.
And you know, musician James Blunt had a very similar realization. He actually experimented with AI to see if it could accurately create lyrics in his specific style. His takeaway? He said he was utterly humiliated at how bad and generic the results were. It's funny, but it really proves that true creativity, nuance, and a genuine artistic voice still remain uniquely human traits. An algorithm just cannot replicate the whole shebang.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. We've got global sheriffs, like the UN, desperately trying to tame this Wild West and steer it toward this utopian future of solving global inequality. But when we look at the reality on the ground, from workers having to literally hack their own gig apps just to get paid fairly, to AI failing spectacularly at basic human creativity, you have to ask, is the AI we are fighting so hard to control even capable of delivering the future we've been promised? Or do we have a whole lot more building to do? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the algorithms around you.